Maria is a professional speaker, world-renowned, world-traveled. If you haven't heard of her, it's because you haven't been listening hard enough. You soon will hear of her. In fact, you're going to hear of her right now. Please join me in welcoming Maria.
Have you ever been at work and you're kind of sitting there, you feel kind of bored? It's another day, a little bit mundane, and there's nothing exciting happening. That's happened to me. I had a friend a few years ago and said, hey, let's go to the snack shop and grab something to eat. Pretty sure I grabbed chocolate and probably root beer. We're walking back, and my heel broke. Pick it up. He's like, what's wrong with you? My heel broke, man. I don't know why. This has never happened to me before. It's a pretty reasonable sized heel. It was only 3 inches tall. And he said, wait a minute, I got an idea. Why don't we go over to the Applied Failure Analysis group and have them analyze the type of fracture it is? I was elated. That was the most exciting thing to happen all week. Most exciting thing in months. We could analyze what type of fracture was on my heel break. So we go over to the Applied Failure Analysis group and we talk to Jim. Jim spins around in his chair, looks at us over his glasses and says, how can I help you? Jim, my heel just broke on my shoe. Can you take a look at this and tell us what kind of fracture it is? He grabs the heel and inspects it, pulls out his magnifying glass. In a very thoughtful tone, he says, looks like what we have here is a fatigue fracture. My friend and I were so excited. That sounds exciting. What happens when a fatigue fracture? What causes that? Well, fatigue fracture happens when something can't support the weight of its load. I took my heel back from Jim and I went back to my in a very thoughtful manner, I was contemplating this. And what was my first thought? Denial. No, it couldn't have been me. It was defaulted heel. This has never happened. Over the 107 pairs of shoes that I own, this is the first heel that is fractured. So there's no way. It must have been defective. I thought about it. I thought about fatigue fractures. So there's a little bit too much stress put on something. Perhaps you don't realize you're overloading something. Perhaps there are outside factors, but if you're proactive, you could avoid that. How often do you feel you take on too much in a day, or on a project, or in life? I'm there with you. I take on way too much. Do you ever find yourself going from meeting to meeting to meeting, or event to event to event, doing one thing after the other, and something slips through the cracks? I drop the ball completely, about 3 times in a year. Completely drop the ball. Say, for example, someone's birthday. Someone important to you forgot it, someone reminds you later. It was your mom. 2nd year in a row. Not good, but sometimes these things happen. Sure, there's ways to be proactive with that. What about coming back into town, flying in from the Caribbean? Still dressed in a sundress and flip-flops, flying into Chicago in February with 4 inches of snow on the ground. Yeah, not good planning, not good. What about getting home from work in the middle of the week and grabbing a sandwich on your way home, taking the bus, walking down and sitting down to eat your sandwich, tomato mozzarella, about 6:03 p.m. Then realizing you're Toastmaster for the evening. It happens. So when you ever feel that things are a little overwhelming or you're taking on too much, it's really good to take a step back and look at everything you have on your plate. Where are you spending your time? Is it the most valuable use of your time? And are you just doing entirely too much? What if, imagine if you did less things, but you put more energy focused into those things, and you focused on quality over quantity. Then as you're rationing your time, you're spending time on things that matter, and you're putting your best effort into it, and it might be a little bit less stress, a little bit less chance of having a fatigue fracture. Same company I was working at a few years ago. I was in the know of everything cool going on in this building. It's the corporate headquarters of the company, and I had my scouts let me know that they were having a food day on the 7th floor. Now the 7th floor is where all the executives are, it's all the suits. So I go up there and someone's birthday or anniversary or something, and I grab a plate and pile on some cookies and cupcakes and chocolate brownies and some M&Ms. All right, I had 2 plates. So I'm going down the escalator, and I'm riding down the escalator, and I see someone going up, and I'm like, oh, hey, how's it going? And what happens? Oh, I dropped the M&Ms, and they spill. I was at the top. They began to topple down every step. And not only that, they began to collect at the bottom. I kind of peek behind me, and oh, there's suits behind me. What to do? Well, at this point, I realized that I have very few options. I could attempt at the bottom to balance my 2 plates, hopefully not spill anything further, and reach over and collect these M&Ms that was at least 20 or 30 gathering at the bottom, and hope that the lady behind me does not trip over me and I don't look up her skirt. Or, I figured my option was to keep walking. With whatever dignity I had left. I kept walking. But the idea here is I took on too much. I didn't need 2 plates. I really didn't need 2 plates. Probably didn't even need the food in the first place. So at what point in life do we take things because it's there and it's an opportunity, but it's not really the right opportunity? I'd like to encourage you to think about the things in your life and think about any areas where you might have a fatigue fracture. If you're taking on a little too much, or there's something different you can do to be more proactive on the things that you're doing. Tom Krause says that there's no such thing as failure, there's just experiences and the way that we react to them.